Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of WP the Podcast. I'm David Blackman.
And I'm Tim Streifler.
Today, in episode 825, we're going to answer the question: is WordPress the best platform to launch a course? Now, Tim and I have launched several courses over the last few years, over the last 5 years, in fact, and we've got quite a few students in our courses. So, obviously, we're WordPress guys. We don't want to give this away. The answer to the question, is it the best place? Because there are lots of options out there to build courses. There's obviously WordPress, which you can use LMSs like Lifter LMS, LearnDash, but there's also platforms out there like Teachable and Kajabi, which are proprietary platforms that will allow you to, in essence, do the same thing. Now, there are some differences, and we kind of want to give an option. We want to talk about, whether or not WordPress is the best platform for you to launch a course. So, Tim, do you want to start? Do you want me to start? What do you want?
Yeah, I'm happy to start. I will say that's a tricky answer because, like David mentioned,
That's why I threw it out there.
I
I
know
wanted to see how you were
there
answering
are
it.
alternatives. Now, I think it depends on kind of what your long-term goals are, because something like Teachable is a quicker platform to launch an online course. But depending on what you're trying to do, it may not be the best platform to launch an online course. And the reason for that is when you launch an online course on something like WordPress, you own the entire experience. You own the entire platform, right? Which means you have full control and you can do whatever you want. And you can take those students, that course and take it somewhere else and do whatever. When you launch a online course on something like Teachable, it's pretty much locked in Teachable. You don't have the ability to remarket to your students, right? At least not very easily. You don't have them on a nice email list that you can just send email blasts to, like you would if you built it on WordPress. And that's a big deal because, like David mentioned, with our online courses, we have the Divi Business Expert course on WP Gears, and we have the Divi Beginner course. Well, we want the ability to remarket those students, right? The Divi Beginner course, we want to take people on a journey and have them excel into the business course. And part of the way we do that is through email, right? We own that customer. On Teachable, you don't own the customer. So that's a really big deal. And then I'm going to let David talk here in a second, but there's some other things too, and I'll get to that because it's more kind of a technical thing. But yeah, I would say if you're just trying to do something, super quick and you don't really care about long-term benefits, then yeah, maybe just quickly launch a course on Teachable. But if you're planning for the long-term, WordPress is without a doubt the way to do it. And you can use Lifter LMS, which is free to get started. So.
Yeah. Yeah, that was going to be my answer as well. It's a tricky question to answer. My ultimate answer is going to be always yes. You want to be on a platform you own, and WordPress isn't the only self-hosted platform that you can own. Obviously, if you are a programmer or a developer or have access to a programmer or developer, and they are proficient in web languages, they can build, a custom website and not necessarily use WordPress or any CMS like that. But I do think that you should always have a plan to get to a place where you own your own content. Because the reality is these proprietary platforms like Teachable, like Kajabi, they are limiting in regards to what you can do, but they are nice to get started. If you don't have a big budget and you don't have developers, because building an LMS is not an easy thing, and it's going to cost, if you've got to pay a developer to build it, it could cost several $1,000s, depending on what your needs are and stuff. And if you don't have that budget, you know, it is nice to go to something like a Teachable or a Kajabi where it's like a low monthly fee, and then you can scale into build up, you know. I mean, if you're doing an MVP to find out if there's any interest in your course, it might be wise to do like a Teachable. Hey, let me see if there's any interest out there in this course before I go and invest a ton of money and stuff. So it very much does depend on where you're at in your journey. But I think your ultimate long-term goal, the answer for me to this question is yes, it is the best place to build an LMS, a course, launch a course is on WordPress because you ultimately own it, but you may have to step it out or phase it out, just making sure that you get to that place, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there's more work on the front end for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, David mentioned Kajabi. So like I would say Teachable or like lynda.com and some of those other ones, those are like the most limiting in terms of like control and owning the customer experience. Kajabi, I think, is kind of in between. So like WordPress is like absolute full control, own the experience, own the content, everything. Kajabi is kind of in the middle of WordPress and like Teachable, because Kajabi, you don't own the platform, but you can remarket to customers, I believe. I've never used it, but I've seen some pretty big marketers use it. So however, the last thing I do want to say about this is when it comes to the tech side of things with WordPress, you're self-hosting. You get to choose where you host it. You can self-host on your own server. You can use a managed WordPress hosting company. On Teachable and on Kajabi, they're hosting it for you, which has its pros and cons. However, literally just 2 days ago, there was an AWS outage that took down much of Teachable, right? So students, course creators, everything, like it was, it affected everyone. And, it was only for maybe 4 to 8 hours or something like that. And it wasn't just affecting Teachable; it affected other AWS users as well in a certain region or something. But that means that like you couldn't have someone buy your course during that time. You couldn't have someone use your course during that time. Now, obviously, any hosting can have issues. You can self-host on a WordPress host, and then that their platform goes down. But the bottom line is you have more control and an ability to basically mitigate the issue yourself, right? So like if your WordPress host goes down and you have a proper backup solution in place, you can actually quickly move that over to another host, right? Like you have control over that process, where if you're on a Teachable and something like that happens, you have like literally zero control over how to fix it. So
yeah, absolutely. All right, there you go. Best platform to launch a course is WordPress best platform. I hope that helps. I think it should. Tomorrow we're going to talk about the fastest way to launch a website. And yes, folks, we're talking about WordPress. We're not talking about on any other platform. So until tomorrow, we'll see you then.
take care. Bye-bye.